Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is February 19th, 2015. Christina Bossanakis joined by Ron Nicoletti.
We are in South Florida, right?
It sure doesn't feel like it. I was just saying to Ronnie a few minutes ago, this is, and nobody's going to be crying for me across the country. That's for sure.
Understand that.
And I don't expect anybody to. But this is the coldest I think it's been that I've felt in the last 3 winters that I've been here. It's pretty chilly today.
Yeah, but I mean the rest of the people around the country are really suffering. We got a fast main track, firm turf course, beautiful sunny skies. Just a little cold for us wusses here in South Florida. We got a nice carryover in the Rainbow Six today. We got an 11 race card. It starts in race number 6, $92,000 plus in the Rainbow Six. So it should be a lot of fun today. We're trying to see if somebody hits that, but this is the beginning of what is going to be a fantastic weekend. It's Fountain of Youth weekend.
I was just looking at the races on Saturday. Each race is just so appealing. As soon as I got that the Saturday's card, it was just pretty exciting, and a couple of races that we're going to see. As you said, there is the Bessalou Stables Fountain of Youth, also the McDarmida, and we're going to be seeing a champion return in 2015.
Yeah, main sequence will be coming back and try and keep that record of stakes races intact. Was older horse of the year plus turf horse of the year. So lots of great things happening, but that is Saturday. And as we mentioned, we got a great card today. A little bit chilly for this 11 race card, but believe me, we can get through it.
Yeah, we can get through it. Quite a breeze, though. There's a pretty strong wind run. And just before we get to that, in terms of how you think it might affect...
Well, if it's coming, directly out of the northeast, it will help. If that is the case, if it's not a crosswind, it should help the closers today. But as we always mention, watch the first couple of races, watch how the flags are blowing, and make your decision from that. And you can tell, believe me, when there's a strong, wind in their face coming down the stretch, it's really hard for, when the speed horses have to run through that early on, it tires them at the end. So we'll see what happens.
We'll get Ron Nicoletti to go stand on the track in the first race, and just get, our weatherman, our resident weatherman, Ron.
Low humidity today.
Let's take a look at today's first race, and we do have a starter optional claiming event, and it is claiming tag $10,000, 1 mile on the main track. And a couple of jockey changes, Ron. Number 4, Wild Conceits, will be ridden by Gabriel Saez. Number 5, Double Judge, will be ridden by Diego Gomez. And my top selection in here, it's a horse that you used. I went with Blings Express. And let's take a look at the Blings Express, his latest race. Pretty good one.
Yeah.
He found a pretty tough customer in JB's Unk, and he had to settle for a second. You see Blings Express, the gray horse. He's on the inside down there. And he gets beat by a nice horse, but a very, very good effort. Yeah,
very good effort. Just looks like Blings Express had it made. And fought to the wire. This horse did not, give an inch. The other one was just a little bit better and had that too wide swoop to get him at the wire. You'll see here, really hard to separate him at the wire. So Blings Express on your ticket, on the top of my ticket. The current favorite up there very early on is 4-5 is the one Political Justice, but I went with the number 3 Dangerous Brew, and I'll tell you why. Dangerous Brew is stretching out to a mile today. 7 previous races at a mile, 3 wins, a second and 3/3, 7 for 70 the money, notched his second consecutive victory when he defeated first level allowance runners going 7 furlongs. That was here on December 28th. The trainer is Jerry Bozzo, and he's got Eduardo Nunez going for the hat trick today. And I just thought, this horse, hard-knocking campaigner, put him on top of my ticket along with yours, Blings Express, and we both had the one Political Justice, first time for Mike Maker, so right away you got to pay attention.
And I also think there's a lot of speed. It looks like there's a good amount of speed in that race, and Political Justice, it might suit him.
Right.
It's for him that he's going to have it looks like he'll have a stalking position early. We move on to the second race on the card that kicks off the early pick 4. And we do have a couple of jockey changes. Number 4, Forest Funds, will be ridden by Omar Cameo. And number 5, Cookie Exchange, Diego Gomez. It is a 20,000 maiden claimer and 7.5 furlongs on the turf course. And Ron, it looks like we're in agreement in this race. Number 6, Acrostic, Roy Lerman. We actually was second last time. I thought a pretty good effort. And now, Ron, that was going 5 furlongs. Javier Castellano gets aboard. That's never a bad thing.
Yeah, and stretching out around 2 turns. You mentioned that one, 7.5 furlongs here at Gulfstream. Is around 2 turns. Really nice race last time out, that 4 wide second. A horse that's coming back in short notice is number 2, Ansiedad, is wheeling back at the same level and distance after rallying to finish second here just 6 days ago. The trainers Manny Espura, Luis Contreras handling this quick turnaround today. So I threw him on the ticket. I thought he ran pretty good last time out, but some people are enamored with the short turnaround. Some people just toss the horse right out. That's going to have to be your decision. We both used the one Lloyd Harbor.
Lloyd Harbor, one of my problems with that 0 for 17, and one of those horses that just seems to be in the mix and doesn't really get it done. But also, I think probably his best distance, or her best distance, might be 5 furlongs. So, but I still think that one you want to include.
And I want to update you on these jockey changes. Luca Panici is still trying to get back from an injury sustained last week, so he thought he would be back today, but he should be back certainly. And Tyler Gaffalione, the apprentice, not riding today, so we'll try and find out what that situation is and let you know as the day go by. And that's the 2 major jockey changes that we have today. When those guys are riding, they will not be riding today.
Looking on to the third race on the card, and it is a 12-5 maiden claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track. And we do have a jockey change. Number 2, as Ron just mentioned, Luca Panici off his mounts today. Rodney Sudin will get the call, and that's number 2, Moonlight Time. And my top selection, I went with number 7, and that is Amaluna. And third last time, she was well beaten third. And this is one of these horses that I usually I shy away from, Ron, just in terms of that. Again, we were talking about 0 for 17. Here's a 0 for 17. But I do think in terms of from a numbers perspective, I was looking at the sheets, I look at the third graph sheets and a couple of other things, and I thought that she fits in this group. And also there seems to be some speed signed on, so I'm hoping that she will use, she'll come from off the pace here.
Yeah, one of those speeds. I did shy away from it and put it in second. I went with the one Faloya. This one is dropping to this $12,500 level on the dirt. Pressed swift fractions last time of 21-4, 44-4 before weakening to finish 6th. But that was against $20,000 maidens going 5 furlongs on the turf. I think she's going to be running, gunning as soon as they open the gate, and I think this one might prove tough to catch against this level of competition. 7, Amaluna, for all the reasons you mentioned, and we both had number 3, Fleeting Flossie, in the third spot. Show more after returning from that 10-week freshening.
And I hope Fleeting Flossie is going to be up there with Faloya. That's what I'm gambling on. So hopefully that 0 for 17 won't become 0 for 18 here today. On to the fourth race on today's card, and we do have a maiden special weight. It is state-breds, for state-bred 3-year-olds, and 7 furlongs on the main track. And my top selection, looks like we're in agreement, Ron, number 4, and that is Royal Squeeze. And last time a pretty good effort. Now that was up at the Ocala Training Center. That's on a synthetic surface for Chad Brown. We'll take a look at Royal Squeeze's race, and Ron, but we're going to actually look at the race from here, from Gulfstream 2 starts back.
Yeah, this was the India Reality division of the Florida Sire Stakes, and the 12-horse is Royal Squeeze, and you say, okay, Royal Squeeze, mile in the 16th is going to settle for second here, and, just cruise under the wire, but you'll watch this. She fights back and just comes within a nose of winning the signature race of the Florida Sire Series and everything. Turning back, here's a stat that you're probably well aware of, but Chad Brown is 56% with horses turning back in distance. You mentioned that race up in Ocala on the synthetic surface. I think this is a level where this horse is strictly the one to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that he stands out, and also this from a speed perspective. I threw in number 8, and that's Awesome Trom. Last time went 7.5 furlongs on the turf, gets back to the dirt here, and actually he's run, I thought, pretty well on both of them, so I thought I was going to include him. He is dropping, actually he was facing Open Company last time. We're facing State Bred Company here. And number 6, Abounding Legacy, Ralph Nix. And this looks like a pretty lateral move.
Yeah, pretty lateral move. I used him on a ticket stretching out to 7/8 after really a couple of well-met races at 3/4 of a mile in which he counted trouble at the start. I bumped in both those races and still somehow managed to finish second. So I think he's a logical choice. He's the son of Flash Storm and looks like he could be there. And I also used the 2 Express Jet, making his second start back from the layout. Had the misfortune of running into a horse called Kozan, who will be running back, and that Kozan was very impressive that day. I think this level of competition is going to be much more to its liking.
Yeah, I think so too. On to the fifth race on today's card, and we do have a starter optional claiming event, and it is a claiming tag of $16,000. It is 7.5 furlongs on the turf course, and we do have a couple of scratches, number 5 and number 9. My top selection, it looks like our top selection, number 1, Spectacular Me, and just got nosed out last time and was claimed that day for $25,000 that day in that allowance optional claiming event.
Yeah, and that was at 5 furlongs. You look at this horse's record at 7.5 furlongs or a mile. They, in the form, put that as the same distance, which they basically are. 7 starts, 3 wins in a second. So, proven commodity at the distance. I think the stretch out is going to help. We both used the number 3, Wild Swabber, in second. Cutting back today to this 7.5 furlong distance. Was fourth as the even money favorite against this level of competition. That was back on December 23rd. Mike Maker, really good with the freshening, 31 to 60 days, about 22%. And I used the 4 Wild Eris. I went the Wild theory in here. Used Wild Eris in third.
I actually threw in number 7, and that's Miss Tappet to mix up Ronnie's wild theme here for the day. And also, this mare, she's a closer, and I think maybe she gets a good pace up in front of her. She can close on some of those front runners. We're going to take a short break, folks. We'll come back and have a look at today's 6th race on the card that kicks off the 20-cent of Rainbow 6.
Gulfstream Park is one of Florida's top entertainment destinations, mixing restaurants, clubs, a casino, and international boutique shops with world-class racing. In a lavish, sun-drenched setting with the feel of a Mediterranean village, Gulfstream is a leading year-round entertainment and tourist destination and the home of luxury residences in 2014. The Stronach family, owners of Gulfstream Park, is committed to the sport of thoroughbred racing and the grace, spirit, and generosity of the horse.
The Rainbow 6 is back and it's better than ever. Now with a 20-cent base wager, it will expand the market for the popular bet. And in addition to doubling the base wager, the percentage return for the winners on the day the jackpot isn't hit increases to 70%, with 30% going to the carryover pool for the next program. Gulfstream Park, you got to be here each and every day.
Welcome back to Gulfstream Park. We're going to have a look at today's 6th race that kicks off the 20-cent of Rainbow 6. And Ron, maiden 25 mile on the main track. We do have a couple of scratches. Number 3, and that's number 4. Blinkers on number 7. Brooklynville. And we have the Rainbow 6.
Yeah, we have about over $92,000 in the guarantee, and that's usually a sign that we're going to be well over $100,000 today. And remember, this is an 11-race card, so it starts in race number 6 today. And let's see if you can bring that down so you have a lot of money to bet the Bessaloo Fountain of Youth on Saturday. A tough race to start. I went with the 5 on top. You have the 5 on your ticket. Journey Proud dropping to this $25,000 level, turning back to 1 mile after checking and being eased behind an impressive winner in there, and that was Made from Lucky. There was no Made from Luckies in here and everything like that, dropping down, and it is Todd Pletcher. It's a $200,000 son of Harlan's Holiday, working consistently since that miscue. But there's got to be some red flags flying here.
I wonder why you're saying that. Well, I actually went in a different direction. I went with the horse that you didn't use, and that's number 6, Tri-Coastal. And I just think this gelding, he stacks up in many. I tried to take a little bit of a shot in here because I think we might get a halfway decent price. He is 6-1 on the morning line. Mark Hennig, he's tried this distance before. So the mile is not going to be an issue for him. And in fact, if you look at his races back in October at Belmont, albeit it was on the turf, and he ran a pretty credible race, a pretty decent number. He has a good recent work, second time gelding as well, gelded for his latest start, so this is his second start as a gelding. And also Stephen got even. The pedigree to me reads more dirt anyway. So Joel Rosario, who was aboard last time, gets back aboard today, dropping. I said, hey, let's take a shot. Hopefully we're going to get a price here, because I don't know that we're going to get a great price with the Todd Pletcher horse.
Well, you cannot single Todd Pletcher's horse in here, and you convinced me to add that one on my ticket. We mentioned this is the start of the Rainbow Six. I think you have to go deep here. By no means do you single the 5 Journey Proud in this race. We both used the number 2 horse, Northern Call, dropping to this $25,000 level and facing maiden special weight competition in a trio of sprints, at Laurel. Brendan Walsh doing an excellent job, and he's got Corey Lannery, his go-to rider, in the saddle today. So I think you got to go 4 or 5 deep here in the Rainbow Six. You don't want to be knocked out in the first leg.
Well, he has some speed. I think Northern Call has some speed. He might even be the controlling speed in there, it might seem. So I thought that I would include him on my ticket. Maybe he'll be, although he doesn't tend to hang on too much at the end. So I think he's one that you probably have to include in your selections. On to the 7th race on today's card. If I get to today's 7th race, and it kicks off the Pick 5, and there is a jockey change. Number 1 will be ridden by Eric Rodriguez. I can't even read my own writing, it appears. So
we did it fast. We just found out he was off his bounce.
Yeah, so my top pick in there is number 4, and that is probably from the Mike Maker barn, Javier Castellano. Just such a lethal combination. Looks like this filly is going to be showing speed in here, Ron. I know that you liked her, and I think speed might be her weapon in there.
Yeah, this is my best bet of the afternoon, and also the horse I singled in my Rainbow Six.
I love it.
So I can go deeper in the first leg we were talking about. And this is a definite choice. Probably you get the thing there is a definite choice. She returned from the layoff from Mike Maker. After just getting nipped at the wire, it was a good performance. Mike Maker, you know all the stats. He's excellent with the second start back from this type of layoff. I just thought this horse looked really good in this spot, so put it on top. But the number 7 horse, PJ's Enigma, undefeated in the 2 previous sprint races here. So we got a horse for course angle in here, stepping up, rallied, but that was against $20,000 2 lifetime claimers. Won that race by a measured half length. So likes the track, likes the course, I should say. 2 for 2. Thought you had to throw it on the ticket.
I think the one horse that's going to be pivotal is number 8, and that's Artsy, because Artsy, she looks like she's got some speed too, and I'm wondering if she might go up and set the pace, and I think that's really the key for probably. Right. Is she going to have company? Is she not going to have company? And what Artsy's going to be doing in the early going, but I do think Artsy, number 8, she's at the right level, so you're going to probably want to use her in there. On to the 8th race on today's card. It is a maiden special weight. It is a mile on the main track. We do have a jockey change. Number 7, Pharaoh Bob, will be ridden by Edgard Zayas, and this kicks off the late Pick 4. And this is a pretty interesting, pretty competitive race. I went with number 6, and that's Crowned Heart from the Eddie Pleasa barn. This is a son of Distorted Humor. Distorted Humor is very good with his first-time starters, and there's a lot of breeding in here. And what's interesting about this horse is the turf breeding. In fact, on the bottom side, he's a half-sibling to Dreaming of Anna. She was a multiple graded stakes winner on the turf, also won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And also Lewis Michael is from this whole family. Just Enough Humor. There's so much happening. I can't stand it. There's so much happening with this horse's pedigree.
Ed Pleasa is 25% with his first-time starters. Joel Rosario will be in the saddle. I like that, but I went with the number 8 on top, and that's Hereditary, making his 4-year-old debut after ending his brief sophomore campaign with a maiden special weight victory at Laurel. That was until he was disqualified and placed, for drifting out, he was placed second in that race. He drifted out at the 16th pole. Shug McGahee, Javier Castellano atop this Phipps stable, homebred son of Medagliadoro. So I'm going to go off the past experience here, even though the horse was a little goofy in the stretch. Ground hard for all the reasons you mentioned, and I used the 4, and so did you, Thatcher Street, stretching out with blinkers added today.
Yeah, Hereditary doesn't lack for pedigree either. The mare is also a pleasant home. You might remember her winning the Breeders' Cup at Distaff. So beautifully, a couple of really beautifully bred horses in that field. Looking on to the 9th race on today's card. It is a 20,000 claiming event. It is 7.5 furlongs on the turf course. We do have a couple of jockey changes. Number 4, British Glory, will be ridden by Jose Caraballo. And number 5, Dreaming of Pete, will be ridden by Gabriel Saez. And I tried to take a shot here, Ron, and I know, and it seems like everybody and their brother have chosen number 1, and that's Palace Gate. He's 2-1 on the morning line. He will be favored. I tried to take a bit of a shot. Stableford, from the Phil Serpy barn. If you look at that race back in December here at Gulfstream, pretty good. I thought 7.5 furlongs, so I think that this is probably a better distance for him, although I'm not sure we can blame the distance last time. He was also facing a 50,000 claiming company.
Yeah, I mean, we have our same 3 horses up there. We got our top 2 flip-flop. I did go with the one Palace Gate. She was trying to call me a chalk-eating weasel in another way, but that's what it was. Turning back to 7.5 furlongs, responded to the surface switch with a well-meant second place finish at this level and distance. That was going a mile in the 16th. Marcus Vitale, Paco Lopez, lethal combination. They should run well in here today. Inside post, I think that sets up nicely for him. But I got the 9 on the ticket for all the reasons you mentioned, and we both used the number 6, Uncle Micho, in third.
Yeah, and I think Uncle Micho last time was might not have got the best of, really couldn't get a it was too fast of a pace. I think it was at 5 furlongs last time. The only problem is this time I'm not sure how much speed there is in this particular race, and he's a closer, so I think he needs a good pace.
Yeah, and I think the added distance is going to help him.
Yes, I sure do. Hope he gets a pace for him to close into. On to the 10th, and not the 10th, not the final race. Yeah, you see, I got... it is the 10th race. It is not the final race, and it is a starter optional claiming event with a claiming tag, $35,000, and it is 1 mile and a 16th on the turf course. And we do have a scratch, number 3, Crown the Kitten. Ron, this is wide open. I had it in my notes. It was wide open. I'm looking at our picks. It's wide open, and it's that kind of race. I did go with number 6, and that's Talbot County, and this is a 3-year-old son of Giants Causeway. We'll take a look at his last race, and that was his 2nd career start. Now, that was 50,000 maiden claiming company for the Christophe Clement stable, and he was claimed on that particular day, but it was a pretty good effort for this horse, and he didn't have the cleanest of trips in the
and he was really gamey. You know, he had to fight all the way through the stretch to finally get the job done. You'll see it here as he comes up to the 6 horse, and just, you know, fighting on, and scores nicely, and then breaks his maiden, right at the end there. He just gives that little burst to get up by that, head. But I went with the 4 horse in here, 7 Fleet Humor, and I'll tell you why. There's 4 horses, 3 of them are in this race that hit the wire together in its last race. But if you go back and look at this race, the 4, 7 Fleet Humor, stretching out to 1 mile and a 16th, he rallied 4 wide. He finished 4th. As I mentioned, it was a blanket finish. He was only beaten 3/4 of a length. It was against Smart as Fox, who won the race, and Mr. Magician, who was in there. They all hit the wire together. I thought this one had to run the most at the end, and I just think it's his chance to win today. So I put him on top of the ticket. Did not use your 6 horse, but after I saw the video, I might have to go back and look at that for first leg of the late daily double.
I also used number 2, and that's Nick and Jr. This is a gelding by Curlin, and he bumped up his game considerably with his first time on the turf. That's for Jane Sibeli, Corey Lannery coming back aboard off that win. So I think, again, this is another one that you might... This race... Wide open. And
Jane Sibeli, is there anybody on the track hotter than her? She's been doing great. So one of those type of races where you got to go a little deep. Maybe that 4 horse probably in that earlier race, 7th race, looks pretty good to single in there. We'll see what happens with that.
On to the 11th and final race on today's card, and we do have a 12.5 claiming event. It is 1 mile on the main track. A jockey change, number 8, Jackie... Whoa, the wind is just, I'm swallowing all this wind. Jackie O'Mine will be ridden by Rajiv Marat, and my top selection, I went with number 5. Here's another wide open race. And again, Ron, look at our selections. That would pretty much sum it up. I went with Caroline in here, David Fox. David Fox and Juan Leiva they combine at a 43% clip. Pretty impressive. 6th last time. That was at a higher level than we're facing today, but we're stretching out again. There's so many things that I actually like about this one. I'm really zeroing in on that race back in November 20th at Gulfstream Park West, Ron. I think she's actually at the right level here.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the connections in there, and that's what the kind of thing you have to find in a race like this where everybody's pretty much even on there. I did go with the 2 Born to Fly, dropping to the $12,500 level on the main track, finished 5th. That was against $25,000 maidens on her turf. That was a local debut for trainer Peter Walder, who is, get this stat, 11 for 22. That's 50% with horses going from the turf to the dirt. So talking about angles, I went with that angle on. I used the 8 Jackie O'Mine in second and the number 10 Catskill Flyer, and you're right. We have 6 horses up there. We have 3 each, and none of them the same. So it's another wide open race, which makes the Rainbow Six and the Super High Five a bit of a head scratcher today.
Well, you mentioned number 2, Born to Fly, and the reason why I just wanted to mention Aragorn is the sire, and Aragorn, he was a turf runner. You would think he's actually a lot of his winners do come on the turf, but he's 16% with his horses routing on the dirt, which I didn't know. I wouldn't have guessed it until I looked at the stats. So he ran on the synthetic and the turf before. So running here on the dirt, that's not a bad move, and that might be it's a pretty interesting one to watch in their run. 5-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, 5-1 on the morning line. It's Peter Walder. I don't know if we'll get 5-1 just because of the connections. You know, had to dig a little deep, but I found the race really wide open, and for all the reasons we just mentioned, I figured I'd go with that horse. But your horse makes sense too. So go deep in the last race.
Yeah, and so we do have an 11 race card. We have a carryover in the Rainbow Six.
$92,000, race number 6 with this 11 race card. So should be a fun day. We mentioned we got a fast main track, firm turf course, and chilly conditions.
Yeah, it sure is. And Ron and I will be back the rest of the afternoon. I hope you join us, but we will send you off with a look back at last year's, the 2014 McDermott, and a horse that will be running again, trying to defend his title, Twilight Eclipse. Folks, stick around. Great one on tap.
And Twilight Eclipse moves up to take the lead. Bingo, bango, bongo. On the outside is Amen Kitten. Slumber now weaving through traffic. So too Cozy Kitten down on the inside. It is Twilight Eclipse in front. On the outside, Amen Kitten closing the gap. Then comes Slumber in third. Amen Kitten tries to catch Twilight Eclipse. Between them is Slumber. It is Twilight Eclipse.
There's a new day dawning in Florida. Never before has a Breeders' Cup Classic winner retired to stud in the Sunshine State. Until now. Adena Springs presents 3-time Grade 1 winner and earner of over $4 million, Fort Larned. New to Adena Springs South.